Hi, Evelyn.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, good.
Yeah. How have you been?
Okay.
Hello.
Hi there, Paul.
Yes.
Hello, Evelyn.
Evelyn, we're not hearing you. Oh, there you go. Still not hearing you, even though you seem to have come off mute.
Evelyn, were you able to get the hard copies of the matrix? We can't hear you. Promising.
Well, let me try this again.
I think I just heard you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Friend. What was that?
Coming in. Will be joining us this afternoon. We anticipating anybody else may be joining us.
I do not believe that Keith will be joining us today after all. He's doubtful. He wrote me, he was doubtful. So, because he was going to arrive later, but I don't think he's going to be able to make it at all.
And if it's okay, I think we can, with everyone, I think we can start. I think we've got some regular sort of business pieces to run through, updates on the various pieces that are currently in progress. I think the first one, I think the east wall and the west wall branch, those are closed out, so I've taken them off the agenda. And I think what's on the Lansingburg Cupola project, pretty much wrapped up except for final billing, is that right?
Yes, we do have the final bill. That'll be at the board meeting next week for payment. The final bill on that was 31,560. I'm sorry, 561. There were a couple of changes. It was originally to be 28,000. There was some change orders for replacing additional wood on the cupola, and also to install some waterproofing. So it did come out a little bit more.
Waterproofing sounds like a good idea. Certainly, when you discover wood that's not in good condition, it needs to get fixed, so.
Soon as we draft a check for that, I can file a final report with the state.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions about that? 2020 Public Library Construction Grant. That's at the main branch, the basement slab and the second floor plaster. I think TAP is working on bid documents for that.
Yeah, I think documents are pretty well done, but I might have inadvertently held that up a little bit because it was recommended we we do some samples for hazardous material now before we bid that. And so I just got Alpine in there to do those or take those samples. I'm waiting for results. Then we should be ready to bid it out.
We want to do that before we get bids in place. So hazmat sampling is in progress. Did they give you an estimate of how long it will take to get results back and report, and any design to address that? And if anything's found?
Yeah, it only takes a few days usually with them.
Oh, so a report should be issued within the next few weeks. And
Yeah.
thank you. We'll wait for an update then in terms of next steps, then. Thank you. And 2021 library construction grant, the main branch and the cornice, the partial reconstruction. We understood there's a partial award that's been given for $160,000. And we were wondering if there were any changes coming back, additional funds or not, or any changes with DASNY.
Yeah, I got notification from DLD to submit some modifications to my grant application, which means, well, I know it means it hasn't gone to DASNY yet. DLD is trying to smooth the way here so that they're trying to second guess what DASNY is going to do. So we made all the changes, got that back to them, and they were quite happy with it. And I assume it's going to DASNY very soon for their approval.
From DASNY, from DLD. Thank you. And does that have to do with a potential change in the award amount, or is that only to get the
No,
next stage?
it's basically wording. They want assurance that it's not connected to any other grant project, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a matter of wording that they would like to second guess DASNY on.
Got it. Okay, well, thank you. Certainly having them smooth the way makes things good, better. On the downtown geothermal loop, there was a question about sending the historic structures report as well as bills to Siemens and Clough Harbor for their review as part of their consideration for the Phase 1A potential project. Has there been any action on that piece? I was like, not. And that
No.
could, the HSR is on me, I think. I that. But I think it was the utility bills.
Oh. Good point. No, we did not send that yet.
But
They wanted the
Kirsten,
utility bills.
oh, utility bills. Okay, I was having trouble understanding.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, am I breaking up?
No, the word was unclear to me. Sorry, I know,
Is there-
I understand now.
Is there an individual to address that to, or?
I think there is, yes. I do have some contact information. Paul, I'll send you contact information for that.
Okay, yes. And yeah, we can get that to him.
Thank you.
And the utility bills, what year was that for? Was that for 2021?
Months would be fine, is my understanding.
Okay, I guess you did break up a little. How many months?
Of 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah. I got to grab those bills before the auditors get them. They're in the process right now.
Thank you. Piece. And I think then the next part would have to do with looking at our matrix of options. Okay, with everybody, I would share my screen. Go to. Well, here it is. My apologies. Oh. Disabled participant screen sharing. I'm not sure who is hosting the meeting.
I don't know. I thought Joy was.
Maybe happening automatically.
Yeah, maybe.
Not able to share my screen. I'm able to share my screen. I'll have to reach out to Joy next time and ask her if we can make that a little easier to do.
Wait. First. It says you can claim host. I don't know if I claim host. No. I don't know. No, sorry. No, it wouldn't let me.
Is that under participants?
Yeah, under participants. I thought you could claim the host, but it didn't. I don't. Then they were asking for other information. So
I'll have to ask Joy for next time, and if I can make that better. Matrix. I've started to populate some of the fields in terms of where there's some dollars and cents that I feel comfortable making an understanding of. But there's some pieces where I am not an expert. One of them has to do with staffing. And I would suggest that Paul is the staffing expert. Are others comfortable with having Paul be the staffing expert? Is Paul comfortable being the staffing expert?
I don't know. I didn't get too far here, but what I did do is calculate the operating costs of the Lansingburg branch. And they would be relatively typical. I mean, this is not with all the bells and whistles, it's kind of basic. But what I figured out in terms of the Lansingburg branch operation, and this is just an operating budget, 229,000 per year would be the operating cost of that operation. Now that, I don't have numbers of people. I have a salary and benefits portion of 140, 141,318.
I apologize, I didn't type quite that fast. So I think for 229 per year,
What's that?
Yes,
129,000 per year.
Yeah,
And then you mentioned some other figures, and I didn't quite follow what those figures are.
I was separating out the salary and benefits line. And that came out to 141,318.
Is that included in the 229?
Yeah. But I'm just saying that's a basic salary and benefits portion. That can vary considerably based on, benefits and that sort of thing, but it gives you a rough idea, I think, in terms of what the operating costs would be. At this point, and you're looking at, we suggested one of the things on the matrix is 3 other branches, that are basically 6,000 square feet. I think that's a reasonable amount, a reasonable figure to work with in terms of calculating the operating costs.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And is that, would that include fuel and lights and things like that, or is that just?
Yeah, it
staff?
includes everything. It includes a small amount for just routine repair. It doesn't include any larger building type, issues. So, but it
Thank you.
does include, basic repairs and basic maintenance on the branch.
That's current costs, so if we think about how we're moving into the future, and any escalation would get calculated on top of that.
Yep.
Excellent, thank you, that is very helpful. I'll take that information and apply it to the rest of the matrix. If we add a branch of comparable size, we'll assume it is that value. If we take a branch away of that size, it would take off that value. And we'll use
Yeah, I
that as a
think-
multiplier.
One issue though here is the fact that, let's say there's a main library and 3 branches. Let's say that was the idea. That doesn't say or doesn't speak to what exactly happens to the operating expenses of main library, depending on how we want to see the main library. As in Albany's case, they consider the old main library as basically a bigger branch. Or is it a main library? It depends on how it functions, determines the cost and operating expense.
Do you think that would mean an increase in staffing or a reduction in staffing from current levels? And
Yeah, you have X amount of staff because it's open, X amount of hours right now. Would you reduce the hours? Would it be just a branch operation, or would it continue to be a main library with full hours, et cetera, et cetera? Although we still face the state regulation, which applies to main libraries of how long you have to be open, but
you may actually have extra staff in order to coordinate these various branch libraries as well. So there could even be.
well, yeah, that's another consideration.
Interesting. Something we can start with as a base to move from, and we can then refine that as we go. Where we will need some expertise is potential real estate. I don't know much about real estate in the Capital District here. Does any that we could talk to learn more about potential, how one might approach commercial properties and what we should be budgeting if that's something we want to look at.
I'm
I,
sorry. I missed the beginning. Are you asking if any of us know anybody? I don't know anybody on the commercial side, really.
again, here,
Yeah, I think you
This-
had mentioned that you might know somebody.
yeah, I do. I mean, I've worked with, Jim, can't remember his last name. Used to,
Conroy.
yeah, who, has done some exploring for us before in terms of looking for commercial sites. So I can get him going, get him involved here in terms of pricing and costs and that sort of thing.
Some of the budget that we can start plugging that in there and looking at that. And if I could participate in that with you, that'd be very nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Would we be paying him?
Assume it'd be premature to pay him at this point. I would think it would be. I think we're not asking him to do looking. We're asking him for guidance in terms of budgeting.
Person, can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I'm going to see if I can dial into this meeting here.
Participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay,
Perfect.
perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Um, let's see. I
I
think
think
we were talking about trying to
trying to
get some
some
advice
advice
on
on
commercial real estate. I
I
think,
think,
Paul, you
Paul,
had
you had
mentioned
mentioned
you've
you've
worked with
worked with
Jim
Jim
Pomeroy
Pomeroy
in the past.
Kristen, you're echoing now. I think you have
Yeah,
to.
you might have to stop the audio on yours. I don't know how that works.
We could mute the computer.
How's this now?
It's okay.
No,
You
that's
see any
good.
echo?
No,
Okay, my apologies. Thank you very much for your guidance on this. I think Paul had mentioned he's worked with Jim Pomeroy in the past, and Paul would reach out to Jim again for initiating, getting some guidance and input from him in terms of budget numbers that we should be carrying. And then Marie asked whether there might be a fee with that. And my hope is that there would not be a fee for rough cost estimating, but perhaps my expectation or is optimistic. Does anyone else have any experience with this that would indicate that there would be a fee for them to give us that kind of advice?
So are we
yeah,
looking
I
to-
doubted at this stage that there would be any. We're just trying to explore the field, get some pricing ideas and that sort of thing. I wouldn't think so, but I can ask.
Are we looking to buy another space or are we looking to rent space
Well, I think
somewhere?
that, Jerry, I think we're looking at a few different options. And some of those options are to buy property and build on it. Some are to buy property with a building on it and renovate the building.
Mhm.
And then I think there may be a third option on this matrix that is to rent pre-existing space. I'd have to look at the matrix again to refresh my memory on that.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if we could, I don't know where we were looking, but I was wondering if we could team up with somebody like the Italian Community Center, for instance, which seems to have a lot of space they're not using, I think. And see about setting some there. Just a thought.
And Jerry, I think that is, I'm looking at the matrix right now. I think that was one of the options.
Okay. We can't see anything. We can't see the matrix. I don't know if you were.
And I'm sorry that I am not able to share the matrix via the screen. It is attached to the email I sent out earlier today.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's option B3, boy 3, is to rent or lease space from other organizations
Okay.
to create 3 6,000 square foot branches. So Jerry, if you know of any organizations out there that have space that is begging, I think it'd be good to get a list of names or organizations who have that kind of space available, that we could start to at least have
Yeah.
very
I mean, I could-
informal.
I think the ICC might be one of those places. I'm not positive, but I'm thinking they might have extra space that they're not using. I could check with them.
And then I think we had identified South Troy, Sickaway, and East Side as potential places, areas that we would look for it. If we've got a branch, the main branch on 2nd Street near Russell Sage, does it make sense to open up another branch at the ICC,
Yeah,
which is
you're right.
5 blocks
No, it's-
away?
Yeah, it's too close. Yeah.
So I think we need to find potential organizations that are in our target areas.
Yes, you're right.
Which, certainly, I think if we can start to gather names and organizations, I think we have to be very careful about having conversations that might lead to misunderstandings. We don't want people to think that we are looking to make major changes. I think we need to be careful and delicate with these conversations, but I think we
Right.
need to at least reach out and find out who may be interested to have space available.
Mhm. I agree.
And then the other piece that I don't know anything about is financing and how one would look at bonding this work or financing this work through a bank. And so I don't know,
Well,
does anyone have any?
to begin with, Kirsten, we can't borrow money through a bank as a
Okay.
district library. About the only financing choice we would have to raise that kind of capital is bonding.
Right. So have you ever worked with a bond counsel?
No, I do not know a great deal about the process. I can check with who handles that kind of stuff at the city and to see whether they could, you know, give us some ideas. I guess
And,
you would want an attorney involved as well.
and I have worked with many school districts that work with bond councils. And I don't know whether those bond councils also can do work for libraries as well. But if it's okay with you, I could reach out to some of them and ask them if that's something that they might entertain.
Yeah, that's good.
What about one of the libraries that's bonded? Such as
Well,
Gilderland?
yeah, some have, but probably they worked with experts in the field.
Right, but what I'm saying is that aren't we just trying to get an estimate of how much it would cost to bond? And so they would have had the experience of actually doing this.
Well, DASNY can give us an estimate on bonding through them.
Can they?
No problem. Actually, I've been given one before
Mhm.
from DASNY. It's kind of high. So my question would be, can we bond through the city cheaper? And I don't know where else you would go at this point. But I guess that's why we need some more expert help. There must be other avenues, maybe?
So Paul, would you be able to reach out to the city on their bonding advice?
Yeah, I can, yeah, I can do that.
Okay,
It might
Thank you
be
very
good
much.
to look at both ways.
well, it sounds like there may be 2 or 3 ways, so this is good. It sounds like DASNY is an option, but they're expensive.
Yep.
I'm gonna reach out to the school bond councils to see what they can offer. And Paul will reach out to the city to find out who they bond with and what they can offer.
Because I'm not sure that the councils would know how much the cost would be. I talked with somebody I know who retired from DASNY. And that didn't seem to be he was knowledgeable about the process, but not necessarily about the figures that would be involved.
Well, all I remember, and this was a while ago, all I remember that when I looked at DASNY's estimate, I almost fell on the floor.
Yeah,
They take a good chunk of the money. But like I said, I
I've heard
don't,
that before also, Paul. I think something about them being self-financing is they sort of self-finance themselves by skimming off the top. Okay, that's all very helpful.
Kirsten, did you say you sent an email today? I don't have one.
Let me check, let me do a quick save on this document. And sent items. Jerry, I've been sending things to your UHLS email address. Is that the one you prefer?
No, I don't even know how to use that one. It's GA7@gmail. It's a Gmail Gmail account.
I'm sorry, could you give that to me again, please?
It's G as a girl, A as an apple, Desev, DESEVE @gmail.
Got it. Okay, that's coming to you. Oops.
Sorry, I don't mean to be
So the-
taking up time with this.
No worries. I want to make sure you're in the loop. I apologize for not using
Got
the
it.
email address that you prefer.
I've got it. Thank you.
Well, there are a couple more coming here, so I sent a few today and yesterday.
Okay, I have the matrix here, so that's fine. That's okay.
I
Just get on.
think-
I don't think we need to.
I
spend
think
more.
that is most of what I was hoping to cover today. Does anyone have anything else they want to dig into right now on the matrix or anything else?
I don't remember whether it was in the building committee or whether it was in the board meeting, but we discussed the ARPA funds.
I'm sorry, the Aqua funds?
ARPA, American Rescue Plan, that the city got the 42 million. I think they spent
And
about
that there was
half,
something on their website. Yes.
that they were taking requests for ways of using the money. Has anything occurred on that?
I have not found anything on that. Doesn't mean it's not there, but I have not found anything. Are you?
I
have you
had
found
sent
anything
it to you.
specific?
I had sent it information. I thought a link to you whenever we discussed it.
I apologize. You must be one of the 319
And
unread
then I
emails
think
in my
Evelyn sent it
inbox.
out to everybody as well. Evelyn,
From the city, I think I got it from the city and then sent it to everybody on the board, and Paul. And Joy, I think, too. I don't remember when that was. If I
I'm
can.
sorry, Evelyn.
It's like an echo or something.
For me,
Yeah,
sorry, I don't know.
I don't
why.
understand what you're saying.
That's
Oh,
we are.
It not only have one sound, let's see, I don't know why. I did send, an email, I forwarded an email from the city to everybody. I don't remember when it went out, but if you don't have, I'll send it again. Is that better?
And I've taken no action on those there, so if there's, I'll look for those emails and I will, see if I can progress that, now. As I said, as I mentioned last meeting, I had a deadline at the end of last month, at the end of February, so I was, unfortunately blocked out. So that deadline is complete, so I should be able to put in more time for the library.
I did take a look at some of that, and I'm still not sure how any of our projects would fit into the guidelines. The guidelines seem to have a lot to do with recovery from the pandemic. So I don't know if I'm reading that wrong, let me know, but it doesn't seem like what we're looking for to do would fit into any of the ARPA stuff.
If it has something on indoor air quality, we might be able to do that, but otherwise, I think pandemic related might be a stretch.
well, did you look in terms of HVAC, Paul? Were you thinking in terms of HVAC when you looked?
I'm sorry, what?
When you were looking, were you thinking in terms of air conditioning and ventilation? Were you looking from that perspective?
Yeah, what I was also looking at, what we want to do with these projects. But even, looking at some of our other issues, I mean, they're not really related to the pandemic.
Well,
And recovery.
the need for ventilation is related to the pandemic.
Well, Marie, I think we have to confirm if HVAC is eligible through these grants. So,
Right, well, that's what I was asking, whether Paul had looked at it from that perspective when he said it wasn't applicable.
Yeah, not particularly, no.
So perhaps if we, that's what I was thinking of when I mentioned it, perhaps if we look at it from that perspective, perhaps we can find more of a connection.
I'll take a look at it again just to inform myself.
Okay, and I'll look as well to see.
Okay.
Okay, then, does anyone else have anything they want to bring forward that's building related or capital planning related at this time? Evelyn, I think you have your hand up.
Just as an update, the Library Foundation sent us the check for the $30,000 for the parapet project.
I'm sorry, for which project?
The parapet,
The parapet.
The Northwest Parapet, yeah. That's the 2021 grant.
And is that connected to the 2021 Public Library Construction Grant for the cornice?
Yeah,
Or is that
that's the
separate?
that's the 2021 grant, yep.
So we've gotten 160,000 plus
Plus
from
30.
plus 30. Okay. Thank you very much for the update on that. I appreciate it. And I'll include that in the minutes as well.
But just to clarify that, that would be part of the library's match with the construction grant.
Thank you. Okay. Then if there's no additional items for discussion, I think our next regular meeting would be on the 23rd of March at 4 o'clock. And I think we would probably still be virtual for that.
the
We'll
16th,
see.
the 16th is as of the moment, is the end date for the emergency measures. So considering the loosening of the CDLC's suggestions, considering the loosening and lifting of the governor's masking mandates, it is possible that she will start requiring, with those, the option of doing it virtually, and we may need to go back, according to open government laws, back to meeting in person. So I don't know, I'm keeping an eye on it.
Okay.
Well, it seems to me that they're probably going to cancel that because, I mean, the schools are back with no masks. I don't see why we shouldn't meet as a board with no masks.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's, so by the time we have this building committee, and I think we need to think about how we're going to do our board meeting, but right now we're talking about a building committee meeting. So there's a good possibility we'll need to do this in person.
Okay, thank you. So we'll wait to find out where we can meet, but we plan to meet on the 23rd at 4 o'clock. And I will get notes out on this meeting very shortly. And I will update the matrix accordingly to our conversation from today. So if there's no further items for today, then I would like to move that we close this meeting. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I wish you a nice evening, and we'll see you soon.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you.
Good Ash Wednesday, whoever's celebrating Ash Wednesday.
Carolyn,
that's-
Carolyn, thank you for your recommendation on the book.
Oh, did you read it?
I am reading it right now. It's by my bedstand, and I'm reading it every evening.
Yeah, it's that part about the libraries, especially and how important the building is, that was pretty relevant. So, no, I'm glad you picked it up. Thanks.
I listened
Thank you
to
for the
it.
recommendation.
Have a good,
So
Take
I
care.
enjoyed
Good
it as
night.
well.
oh, good, thanks. Talk to you soon.
Take care.